So this all started last year in September when California Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law Assembly Bill 1287, which raised the wages for fast food workers that are in chains from $16 to $20 an hour. Now, this has been controversial for a great number of reasons. First and foremost, one of Gavin Newsom's primary supporters owns a bunch of different Panera Breads, and there's actually a carve-out in this particular wage increase for restaurants that have baked goods that are baked on site that exist prior to the implementation of this law. And when you work out all the details, what you find out that is it's an exemption for Panera Bread.
Now we're learning that some companies, as you mentioned, will be exempt from this, which brings us to Panera Bread. Because of the franchise, they bake bread at their restaurants. They are not considered fast food according to this new minimum wage law. The law states that restaurants which bake their own bread and also sell it as a standalone item do not fall into the category of fast food, even though some customers consider them to be so. There is now an investigation into this loophole, especially in light of some financial contributions made by Panera Bread franchise owner Greg Flynn, who reportedly donated more than $150,000 to Newsom's campaign. And this is according to Bloomberg News.
Hey, welcome back. It's your man Wise. Today, we're checking out our guy, Sean, over at Actual Justice Warrior. Man, this brother comes with the funk. I will leave the link in the description box below. California, once again, another liberal town, once again, shoots themselves in the foot, trying to uplift the people. But in all actuality, they found a way to not only harm the businesses, harm their constituents as well. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video.
During Newsom's largest donors, or one of his largest donors, is from Panera Bread, you understand why from the jump it's already controversial. But the other reason that it's controversial is because even though it's good politics, it's bad policy. Now, I want to say right off the top, as somebody who worked at Five Guys for a very brief period of time, working fast food is hard. It does suck, and I'm not one of these people who sneers at people who says that they don't deserve X amount of wage, because in reality, my opinion of the skill level, or your opinion of the skill level required, or your opinion of how hard they're working is not what dictates wages. The market dictates wages, and what this is about is not the character of the fast food workers, the skill level that is required, which, let's be honest, is not very high, or the level of hard work that they put into these jobs, which, let's be honest, is actually pretty high. It's about whether or not the market can sustain those wages. And what we found out is that this is not the case. Reportedly, they've already lost around 9,500 fast food jobs. A bunch of different places are closing. And we have a segment from Good Morning America where they're talking about how prices are going up and consumers are very upset.
See, I'm sure there were a lot of consumers out there. There was a lot of constituents out there that when this came about, they voted for it and they championed and they went out there and they protested and they went out there and celebrated when this policy was implemented, not understanding that these companies are for-profit businesses. What's going to happen is they're going to cut jobs, and then the remainder of the balance of whatever that is when it comes to these higher wages, that's just going to be gifted right back to the consumer. The companies aren't going to lose money. They're not about losing money. Matter of fact, they have a fiduciary responsibility to make a profit. So they got to pass that down to the consumers. It's simple. I don't understand why these politicians don't understand that, and why the people that vote for these idiots, why don't they understand it?
I am hearing from customers every day who say they are already feeling that sticker shock. Restaurants have been warning about this since September, when California voted to increase large fast food chains' minimum wage by 25% from $16 to $20 an hour. In that time, restaurants in the state have increased prices by 10% faster than all other states, according to Data Essential.
Now, the reason I open up this video by saying that minimum wage is good politics, because it just is proven out by the facts. These increases are overwhelmingly popular, yet bad policy, is because despite the popularity, every single study that examines minimum wage shows us the very same thing. If you raise it, you will lose some jobs during the process. Those outlier studies that all these different left-wingers like to point to as proof positive that you're actually not costing any jobs all give the caveat, when you actually read the study rather than the summary from the Economic Policy Institute, Robert Reich, or whatever left-wing source, that the reason there wasn't a decrease increase in employment is because whatever industry was able to pass on the cost to the consumers. This is a basic law of economics. If you raise the price of something, you will in fact get less people paying for it. It's true for consumer goods, it's true for fast food in terms of the product, and it's also true for labor. So, of course, California decided that they were going to do this because it is unbelievably and undeniably expensive to live in the state of California, and rather than address the issues on why it's so expensive, like zoning and the fact that it's almost impossible to build any kind of housing, oppressive taxation, or anything like that, they've decided to blame the big corporations. So we got this fast food minimum wage increase, and it's going exactly as expected.
The California Restaurant Association says the price hikes were entirely predictable results of the minimum wage increase. Since it took effect, job losses, reduced working hours, restaurant closures, and higher prices for California's inflation-weary customers have been ongoing, the group said.
Now, I talked about how California fast food restaurants cut about 9,500 jobs, but this was disproportionately felt by Pizza Hut, who was the biggest job cutter, who actually fired nearly 1,300 delivery drivers. Also, El Pollo Loco and Jack in the Box announced that they will speed up the use of robotics, including robots that make salsa and cook fried foods. Now, there's actually a very good reason why I wanted to highlight Pizza Hut and Jack in the Box, and by the way, all these other fast food companies saying that they're going to move toward robotics, and of course the kiosks that don't actually require a clerk, is because this is the obvious stuff that we should have been alert to, because we've been seeing signs of fast food companies moving in this direction, but at the previous wage, at the previous moment in time, it was just not something that was such an obvious trade-off for them to go in that particular direction. So let's start with the Pizza Hut drivers. Now, is Pizza Hut still going to have delivery? Of course, 100%. Now, Pizza Hut basically was perfectly fine paying their delivery drivers $16 an hour, having them get the tips that you people give to your drivers when they end up bringing pizza to you. But instead, what they're actually going to pivot over to is Uber Eats, DoorDash, and all these different various delivery app services that charge you guys a bunch of fees. And guess what? Are actually not covered by the minimum wage increase. So now, instead of you having your pizza delivered to you by an employee who is actually paid a regular ordinary wage who gets your tips, you're going to have to go through DoorDash, Uber Eats, whichever one of these apps that charges you exorbitant fees in order to compensate for that. So instead of employees, we now have an increase in contractors, which, by the way, the sharing economy, which is the gig economy, which is the contractor economy, is in direct response to rules and regulations around labor, because people want to work, but they cannot normally get employed under the conditions that are set out by governments like the one in the state of California. So great job to everybody. You just put more downward pressure on Uber Eats delivery drivers' wages while firing people who were working regular ordinary jobs at Pizza Hut. Now, not only do you have the issue with Pizza Hut, and not only do you have the issue with a further push towards automation, which some people are going to say they were going to do that anyway, so I guess it's good policy to accelerate that, but you also have the idea that this is somehow going to benefit adults, because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, the overwhelming majority of people who work fast food in the state of California, they're not teenagers like you dumb idiots think. They're adults, except here's the thing, that is also incredibly deceptive.
The wage increase is meant to give more financial security to the more than 500,000 people who work in fast food restaurants in California and are not teenagers but adults working to support their families.
Now, while it is true that a majority of fast food workers are in fact not teenagers, 30% of them are, and the next 30% are actually between the ages of 20 and 24 years old. So this is
college
around
age students.
A college age workforce. And in fact, that means that a majority, 60%, are actually 24 and younger, therefore unlikely to be supporting a whole family. Now, when you compare and contrast fast food workers to the overall economy, only 13% of the workforce in the broader economy is under the age of 24. So what we have right now is California doing something that felt good, big fast food companies, giant corporate profits. We got to help those families in an industry that is overwhelmingly and disproportionately not filled with people who are trying to support their family.
Go figure. Leave it to Democrats and liberal policies to destroy economies and destroy regular working class families. Again, it's good politics. It's definitely good politics for Gavin Newsom to say, yeah, we're giving these people 20 to 25 bucks an hour, fast food workers. It's great politics. But in the grand scheme of things, he knew, and everybody in his cabinet knew, this was going to be a net negative for the state of California, and especially for those workers. And guess who's going to feel the brunt of that? Those high school students, those college age workers, they're probably the first to be let go. I know out here where I live at, because of minimum wage has been raised, there's a lot of places that flat out say, I'm not hiring high school students. Certain fast food restaurants won't hire high school students now. It's outrageous. There are so many opportunities out here right now, especially in the trades. If you took the time to gain a skill set that would actually pay you more, you would earn more money. I don't understand why so many people are fighting tooth and nail to work in these quote unquote lower skill positions that don't pay well, that were not meant to pay well. Positions like this, minimum wage jobs, they're not meant for you to raise families on. That's not what those are supposed to be stepping stone jobs. That's what they're supposed to be, stepping stone positions. They're jobs for high school students, college students, and that cycle's supposed to start over again once those people kind of grow out of those positions. It's not meant for some 40, 50-year-old person to be in the back at McDonald's flipping burgers and then turn around and say, I don't earn enough money to take care of my family. You shouldn't be working there anyway if you're thinking you're going to be taking care of a family. That's not where you're supposed to be at. There is a shortage of certain skills right now in this country. There's a shortage of tradesmen all across this country. Anybody that lives out in California and you're working some of these lower skill, lower paid wage positions, you probably need to look at moving out of California. You also need to look at obtaining a skill that's in need that will pay you a wage that will give you the ability to take care of your family. All this pacifying people that refuse to better themselves, it does not make sense, but it seems like that's the MO of the left and the Democrat Party. They don't want to push people to do better, to be better. They don't want to push single parents to find good husbands or good wives. They don't want to push improving the actual education system. That's not something that they're interested in doing. They don't want to encourage people to obtain skills that would put them in a higher tax bracket so they could be able to, better take care of their families. They don't want to encourage nor incentivize that. You want to just say it's the big bad corporation, it's their fault, and we're going to tax them. But what happens is that you actually tax the consumers and you tax class and middle class, working class, and lower class individuals. That's what happens. Because these corporations, like I said earlier, they have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they earn a profit, especially if they are publicly traded. I don't have positions open for high school students. Jobs that would normally go to high school students, they are now saying, we're not hiring high school students for these jobs. I'm talking positions at a grocery store, bagging groceries and pushing the carts. So they can't go in from one quarter to the next and say, yeah, California is raising the minimum wage to $20 and not have a plan on how they're going to maintain their profits, whatever that percentage is. We got to fire half the staff. We're going to cut hours, opposed to you getting 40 hours. Now you're getting 32 hours a week. And we're raising prices on the front end. Value meal you used to get for $7, it's now $17. That's what it is, man. And for the life of me, I don't understand why people keep falling for this foolishness. They keep falling for it over and over and over again. When are they going to realize that the Democrats do not have their best interests at heart? When are they going to realize that? Let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. It is crazy out here, and I'm going to catch up with you all next time. Peace.